everyone, and welcome to another episode of Sim and Stitches. I am your yarn host, Jennifer. Today is the day that we're doing a tutorial. Alright, so I'm excited. I know you guys are excited. I am going to show you how to make this tank top. This is a tank top. It is a halter style, bandana style tank top. As of the recording of this video, I still don't have a name for it. But by the time I upload this, I will have a name for it, so it will be in the title. So whatever I said the name of this tutorial is, that's the name of it. Now I'm going to show you two different ways to make this. The tutorial will have, the back will be different because 98% of you have asked that I make the point in the front and in the back. So that's what we're going to do. I still have not weaved in my ends for this one, even though I've wore it. But I wore it unintentionally. I will, however, give you directions how to make the flat back if that's what you so choose, like mine. We can match, that's cool. See, this is what the back looks like. Of course, again, I didn't weave in my ends. And for this tutorial and the purposes of this tutorial and for the length of tutorials on making garments, this is not going to be my typical tutorial where I'm sitting with you making the whole thing from start to finish, because that would be like hours and hours video. However, I also am not making a full-length tank top in this video because, as you may know if you have listened at any period of time, I am making this for Juju, and she has requested a halter or crop top. So it's not going to go down as far as this one, but the instructions are going to be so simple. You're going to be able to make this as long as you want, as short as you want, and you can make it any size that you want. I'm going to direct you how to make this even for like a little kid. So this tank top, you can make mommy and me or Grammy and me, matching tops, whatever the case may be. You're going to make one for the little kid in your life, go right ahead. I will give you directions on how to do that. So this is a truly one size fits all pattern. I will show you how to make this for any size. Anyway, two different backs. So you have a flat back or you can have the pointed back. The supplies that you're going to need for this tutorial is a cotton. You're going to need the cotton of your choice. And the reason I'm saying cotton is because I live in a hot environment. I cannot wear acrylics in the summertime. I cannot wear acrylics in the fall or the spring either. It has to be really, really cold for me to be able to tolerate acrylic yarn like as a shirt outside. It has to be really cold out because I'm from the north and like I'm hot-blooded and I got all this extra insulation. So this is why I recommend cotton. Cotton breathes easier. Bamboo would be phenomenal for this shirt. So if you have bamboo laying around, that would work as well. Now what I used for this was this Cotton Vibrance for the tank top. Now you may have known that in one of my past videos, I said that I didn't like this Cotton Vibrance because one of my balls had 18 knots in it. However, I have since worked with about 4 or 5 other balls of this exact yarn. There was barely any knots, if any knots at all. So I think I just got a really bad ball. So if you have any of this Cotton Vibrance laying around from last year from Premier Yarns, or they also had it from the Loops and Thread and the name is like escaping me right now, that would work. Any of the new cottons from Premier, the hipster cotton, that cool color changing yarn Chameleon would work. The color or the Cotton Sprout would work. Cotton Fair, Bamboo Fair, all the cottons would work. Today, we are using, because my daughter picked it out, it's her shirt. We're using Sugar Whale Cotton in the color Sprinkles on Top. It is a very beautiful rainbow yarn. You can use all one color. You can use variegated. You can use striped. Doesn't matter. Just pick your favorite cotton. You want it to be soft because I'm making this tank top so that you do not have to wear anything underneath, because double layers in the summertime, no thank you. So mine is actually, I used a bigger hook with mine and there are holes, and no, I do not wear anything under this because you can barely see my skin, if at all. And if anybody's looking that hard, then let them look. Okay, that's my motto. But I'm going to use, because this is going to be for a teenager, I'm going to use a smaller hook than I used for that one to get smaller holes. but that doesn't really matter with this tutorial because you're making this to fit the person that you're making it for. If it's for yourself, I'm going to show you how to measure it on your own body. I'm also going to show you how to measure it on, because I'm going to be measuring this on Juju, but since Juju doesn't like to be on camera, we're going to be using Brunhilde as a stand-in. So there's going to be a lot of, I'll show you the table and then I'll show you Brunhilde and how to measure it on Brunhilde's body, because Juju is smaller than me and it's not going to fit around me, and you know, the whole thing. So, all right, guys, let's go down to the table. Let's get started. I hope you enjoy this tutorial. This pattern is a lot of fun. It's very beginner friendly. It's very comfortable to wear when you use the right yarn. Cotton bamboo breathes really easily. Silk blends would work as well. But because it's a summer top, that's where I would end. I wouldn't go into any other yarns. I would stick with my cottons or my bamboos mostly. All right, guys, let's get started. So to get started, I am going to center pull on this ball of yarn. Apparently we're starting in this weird greenish yellow color. I'm not a big fan of that. That's all right. Let's aim my shirt. We are going to start with a slip knot. The size hook that I'm using, now this yarn is a lightweight number 3. Yes, lightweight number 3 is 100% cotton, and I am working with a 5.5 millimeter hook. And we're going to start with just a basic slip knot. And you are going to chain, and this is not going to be an exact number. You are going to chain until this easily fits over your head, or the person's head that you are making this for. That is what we are measuring the first thing off of. So that's how this pattern can truly be one size fits all. If you're making this for, like, for example, I have asked my sister to make one of these for my niece. My niece is 3. She has a big head and a little tiny body. So because of this, she just has to take and chain a chain big enough, because I think my niece's head is like 19 inches, 20 inches. She's got a big head for a 3-year-old. She needs to chain it to be 18 or 19 inches, maybe 20 inches, just big enough that it easily slips over the top of your head. So for us, we know that Juju has about a 24-inch head. She's got a big head too. So we are going to chain this until it's about 24 inches so that it very easily slips over the top of her head. For me, it's about 22 inches. For her, it's about 24 inches. For you, that could be anywhere from 18 to 20 some inches. It all depends. My sister was making a head wrap for a girl she worked with at her work, because her friend had like really big thick braids in her hair, a lot of hair, and she had a big head on top of it. Her head was like 28 inches just to get something over her head. So keep that in mind with whatever size you're making this. It just needs big enough to fit over their head. And if you're making this for a grandchild, you already probably know their size, their head size, or you can very easily ask the parents, can you please measure your child's head for me? And they're going to think that the kid's getting a cute hat, but really they're getting a cute little shirt. So just chaining. And I'm going to show you 2 ways to do this chaining. Well, not the chaining, but because we're going to be working this part in the round, I'm going to show you guys. Let me get my tape measure. We are measuring currently at about 19 inches. You have to trust me on that. So I just need a couple more inches. All right, let me measure it again. Lay flat. It's about 23 inches. Let's do a couple more stitches just to make sure. All right, now we can get rid of that. Now, if you are comfortable in not twisting this and working in the round, go ahead and slip stitch that. You don't have to do that right here though. You can absolutely chain 2 and then do half double crochets across. That is what I do because I am notorious for twisting the chain. And I don't necessarily do it when I'm connecting it, but it is guaranteed. Oh, by the way, we're just doing half double crochets across this entire row. Doesn't matter the stitch count because it's going to be different for everyone. I am notorious for twisting the chain after it's been connected and while I'm crocheting. I don't know why I do it. I don't know how I end up doing it so frequently. It is something I do like all the time. So this is the way I do every first row when I'm going to connect and work in the round. It's not a big deal. I always also, I add a border to the neckline of my shirts always because it helps clean up that edge a little bit. And I just think it looks pretty. So we're just doing half double crochets all the way across. You guys notice I switched up my furls hook today. I have not used this hook in forever. I was gifted this hook some time ago from Robbie. She is a wonderful subscriber to this podcast. And it has been very guarded and protected because I was so scared I was going to break it because it's a resin hook or I'm not sure if it's resin or acrylic, but it's I don't know. I've been terrified I was going to break it, and to me this hook is like a work of art. And I was like, you know what? That's the size hook I need today. It's a decent hook. I'm going to pull it out. And this is just a furls hook, but it's not the Odyssey, so it's very lightweight. It's a good hook. It's just I'm so afraid I'm going to break it that I don't use it very often. I figure it's a tutorial. I'm not leaving the desk. It will stay here. Because with the dogs and the children, it is guaranteed someone is going to sit on or step on my bag at one point or another. And I just have heard horror stories about these getting snapped from someone sitting or stepping on them. I have never worked with sugar will cotton until today. So this is going to be a kind of a review for this yarn too, since I've never used it. And this is going to be the neckline, you guys, in case you haven't figured that out. That's why it needs to fit over your head. Because if you make it too small to fit over your head, like that's just not going to work. Oh, look, we changed color already. I like this green much better. It's more like a bluey green. Oops, keep missing my hole. And notice when I'm at the desk, because I'm resting with my arms, I crochet like a lot slower than I normally do. Just an observation. And I will give you a disclaimer since we're at the beginning of the video. I guarantee there will be interruptions and or loud noises in the background. I know that you guys can hear my wind chime, and I always do a disclaimer about this because I still get complaints once in a great while about the wind chime. But I think by now you guys all know about the wind chime. I also have 2 dogs and 2 children in the house. And it is guaranteed at one point one of them will bark and or yell. Or be loud or sneeze or cough. And you are guaranteed to hear my Christmas clock at least once. So, just, you know, listen in the background. There'll be some noises. I have had complaints about background noises. But, you guys gotta understand, I film in my house. I don't film in a studio. I'm not a professional videographer. I'm a woman who does yarn crafts for a living. And I make these awesome videos that you guys get to watch. And I will try to stay in frame because I noticed that my arms were drifting back towards my body. I'm still just doing half double crochets here. The wind chime is singing. It's so nice out today. It's so nice out. I'll talk about the weather in a minute because we're almost to the end of the row. I'm just going to half double crochet all the way around. The stitch count does not matter because this is all going to be measured on our own body. It's going to be super easy. You can measure it on a little kid's body if you're making it for a grandchild or your own kid or your niece. All right, we got to the end of the row. Now, the way that I'm going to connect this in the round is I started the first half of the half double crochet here. So this is my yarn over and this is my pull through the loop. We're going to lay this flat and make sure that this is completely not twisted. There's no guarantee I'm not going to mess up at this point, but that's okay. And we are going to join this very first half double crochet here, and we're going to grab another loop. We're going to pull through all of those so that it connects it, and then we are going to slip stitch to join. Okay, so that joins it here, and then you can always weave this in through this way and back this way. It'll close that off, but in the end you can always just do a single crochet, half double crochet border, whatever you choose, around the inside of the neckline, and it will be absolutely beautiful. Now I'm going to pause right now and I'm going to fit this over Juju's head and make sure that it fits her head because that's how we're going to do this right now. Make sure this part fits over your head easily. You don't want it tight, you don't want it pulling, you want it to just very easily slip over your head. So I'm going to measure it on Juju and I will be right back. And just like that, it don't fit over her big giant head. So I'm going to go back to the drawing board and make this even bigger. But that's okay. I'm not going to make you guys watch that part. But this is why we're going to measure it on our bodies or a person's or the person's head. Now, if you want to ensure that this absolutely fits over the person's head, you can always add like 2 inches to what you think their head is, which is what I'm going to do to this. I'm going to add about 2 inches. And yeah, so if the person has a big 24-inch head, you're going to make this like 26 inches, 27 inches. If they have a peanut head, you just add like 2 inches to it. And I will be right back after I add 2 inches so this fits over her head. Okay, so after measuring it on her head and looking at her face, because I realized I forgot to take into consideration she has glasses. So I actually made this initial chain 30 inches so that it will very easily fit over her head without a problem, and it will fit over her glasses without knocking her glasses off. It'll fit over her ponytail. So our starting chain was 30 inches now for a teenage girl with a big head. I did a row of half double crochets. We connected it. We're ready to do the next row. So since we connected that with a slip stitch, we're going to chain 2 in that same stitch, and all the way around we're going to do half double crochets. So that's something you want to take into consideration, is you want it to be big enough to fit over their head easily. So whatever their head size is, add a couple inches. And the reason I left in this part instead of editing it out or cutting and restarting the video, because I want you to see this is the creative process. I want you guys to be able to understand how to build a garment and not be afraid to pull it back if you need to. Not be afraid to make mistakes, because we all do. Even the best of us podcasters, we make mistakes. We have to frog. We have to alter the plan. We have to, do all of these things. This is a normal part of the creative process. Nobody comes into this being perfect. And believe me, I make my fair share of mistakes. And a lot of times I just leave them in because nobody's going to count your stitches. Nobody's going to look and go, oh, she messed up here. They're not going to do it. Unless it's like a big gaping hole. I mean, people will notice a big gaping hole, but we don't leave big gaping holes in, do we? Just on that pineapple shirt I made. So, just half double crocheting around. We're making the neckline now. And when we get through with the neckline, I'm going to flip the camera back up and show you what it looks like on Brunhilde. Now, keep in mind, Brunhilde is an extra small. She's the tiniest little mannequin that I could find. Well, the reason I found her is because she was at the thrift store. She was an amazing deal. I didn't pay very much for her. I think I paid $15 for her, and she's cast iron and all kinds of stuff. But she is an extra small, and Juju is not an extra small. So this will not fit exactly like it would on Juju, but like I also said, she does not want to be on camera, and I'm going to respect that. Little man, on the other hand, would be in every video if I let him. He's a ham. He loves being on camera. He wants to grow up and have his own YouTube and all this other stuff. Funny story. Might as well tell you a funny story while we're in here crocheting, right? My niece is the same age as Juju. They're like 4 months apart. One of the times that she lived with us, she said, I'm going to be a YouTube star like, I think, Jake Paul or something. Like, whatever. One of those teenage guys that she was watching at the time. And I told her, I was like, Mira, you cannot make a living off of YouTube. You need to have another plan. And I like ostracized her for it a little bit, like, because I wanted her to like think about bigger than YouTube. I didn't want her to think there's some sort of get rich quick thing that she can do, that like she's not gonna be famous, all this other stuff. Like, I just wanted her to be realistic and get her education. And after I started this channel, with never having had the intention of ever making a YouTube, that was never ever on my radar, ever, and getting to as many subscribers as I have, and I make a good little paycheck here, and I had to apologize to her and tell her that I was wrong. I thought you guys would find that funny because, I don't know, sometimes parents, like, we think we have the answers and we really don't. We think we know what's right and what's wrong, and we mess up. It's just, it's how life is. I apologized to her, and I told her I was wrong. And Jenny was wrong. You want to be a YouTube star, you need to understand it's not an easy road. It's hard work. But if you put hard work in, you can make it successful, just like anything in this world. It's not something that comes easy. It's not a get-rich-quick thing. If you work hard, you could make a paycheck. I was going to tell you guys another story, and I forgot what I was going to tell you. I know it had something to do with yarn. I just don't remember what it was. And you know, I'm going to edit this video, and I'm going to hear what I was talking about in that very first row. And I'll be like, that's what I was going to tell them. And it completely has slipped my mind. That's all right. The construction of the shirt is really, really easy. And I'm glad I came up with this idea, because a lot of you wanted the pineapple tank top that I made, but because that was not my pattern, I cannot show you guys someone else's pattern in a tutorial. It's against ethics, but it's also like against copyright for me to give you guys someone else's pattern. Also, my sister, as all of you know, Baby Paprika, her name is actually Danielle, by the way. In case you didn't know, she is the moderator on the Facebook group. I told her she should make one of these pineapple tops. It's so much fun. And it was her book anyway. So she started it. She hated it. She said it was hard. She didn't like it. So she has yet to make any single patterns out of her own book that she purchased that I used to make the pineapple top. Well, anyway, in the process of making the pineapple top and how many of you were interested, I was like, well, maybe I can design an easy tank top That's my design that I can actually show you how to make. And that's what we're doing here. This is an easy design. It's fun to make. You can make it whatever size you want because you're making it to fit your body. As long as you use a nice cotton that's not scratchy, like a soft cotton, it's very, very comfortable. All right, we're coming to the end. Just put our last half double and we're going to slip stitch again. And I need to look at my pattern and see what is our next row because I don't remember. And the pattern is not written. It's actually, I'm just looking at my garment as we go. All right. So it appears to me that the neckline is all half double crochets. So we're going to do 2 more rows of half double crochet in the round exactly like we did. Exactly like we did. Now you can make this thicker. This is another thing that you can adjust. And I might have to make it thicker because I'm using a smaller hook. Because as you can tell, with this one I used a bigger hook. And this is my first 2 rows here. And this is going to be just slightly smaller. So I don't know, 2, maybe 3 rows. You can do as many rows to get this. This is going to be the strap that goes over your shoulder. If you want this thicker, absolutely make it as thick as you want. You can do 10 rows of this if you want. I'm going to play it by ear because we're making this garment together. I'm showing you how to construct it. And I'm giving you guys lots of options. So I'm chaining 2 and I'm going to half double crochet in that same stitch. The reason we're doing that here is because that's going to give us a tiny increase there so that it wants to lay flat on us. I'm just going to keep doing half double crochets. And I notice that when I'm crocheting, as I crochet, I start off tight and then I loosen up. This is just one thing that I do. And when I crochet faster, I crochet really loose. So I really like this color that's coming out. I don't like this first color, but we're not going to tell Juju that. I had a really fun weekend with her this weekend. I was feeling a little bit frazzled, like life was getting to me a little bit. I was feeling stressed out. And I told her because I have not taken her to buy summer clothes and it's been a couple years. I mean, I buy her things here and there, but it's because she just kept gaining a little bit of weight or growing or like, it was hard for me to buy her all her clothes at once. And also she was in this phase where everything that I liked, she thought was disgusting. You know, all teenagers go through that phase where their mother's taste is just, ew, mother. You know, so we were going through a little bit of that. So this year I was like, you know what? I always buy her school clothes. She's got plenty of winter clothes, fall clothes, summer or spring clothes. She doesn't have a lot of summer clothes. So I'm going to take her and I'm just going to take some of my money and I'm going to give her a little shopping spree. We're going to do some mommy-daughter time. Buy her some clothes that she needs so bad. Because she has tank tops she's been wearing since like the 6th grade. And she's going to be in the 11th grade now. So, yeah. It was way past due to get her some new summer clothes. So I saved up our money and Mr. Cinnamon had some reward points. So we got a free hotel night at a local hotel. And he booked us a room. I took her shopping for the first time in a couple of years, actually. She actually let me pick out clothes for her and goes, oh yeah, that's cute. Because I'm starting to learn what her style is and what her style isn't. And she's finally coming back to wanting to dress more girly again. Because for a while there, she was just, I think she was insecure, so she was trying to hide her body behind t-shirts and jeans and black clothes, which I totally have been through that phase as well. So I just let her do what she was going to do. But now she's starting to come back towards more girly clothes, wanting to feel more feminine. I was a tomboy growing up, so you wouldn't catch me dead in a dress when I was a little kid. And then I hit a phase after I met, it was actually after I met Mr. Cinnamon, because I was very much a t-shirt and jeans kind of girl when I met him. After I met Mr. Cinnamon, I started to find my femininity and want to wear more dresses. And not that femininity equals dresses, because that's not what I'm saying at all. Whatever makes you feel pretty, whatever makes you feel good about your body, put that on your body and don't ever owe anybody an explanation. But we had a really good time, and it was just her and I in the hotel room, and Mr. Cinnamon and Little Man went to an arcade that's local to us, and they had like a whole day to themselves, and they went out to a Chinese buffet, which Mr. Cinnamon loves, and Little Man loves Chinese noodles. And so they had a good time, because we can't go to buffets anymore since my allergies have been detected, because everything is either got weed in it or cross-contamination risk or something. So I was glad that they got to do that too. And me and Juju went to Wegmans, which is a grocery store here. And we got some sushi, because all their sushi is guaranteed gluten-free. And their soy sauce is gluten-free, which is a big deal. And we went back to the room and we snacked, and we did a little fashion show for each other and tried on all our clothes we bought. It was a really nice weekend. I really enjoyed it. Really nice. Yeah, these stitches are a lot closer together than that other tank top I made, which is going to be good for her because she's almost 16 and I don't really want her showing off too much skin, because I swear if I catch a guy gawking at her, and I have caught older guys staring at her because she looks much older than what she is, and I have like yelled at them and embarrassed them in public. She's 11 years old. I mean, she's almost 16 now, but like when she was 11, I have done that. And then they feel stupid, but like seriously, why are you checking out a little kid? But I've always taught her to be modest, and it's not that she ever dressed unmodestly. I have taught her to be modest and, you know, but also to dress whatever she's comfortable in, so. All right, we're almost to the end of the row. I'm going to slip stitch to connect. I'm going to itch my nose, take a little drink. Went to Aldi's this weekend to go grocery shopping. We have not been grocery shopping in forever. We're going to chain two, same thing as we have done in every other row. Put a half double in that same stitch and half double crochet all the way around. Well, we went to Aldi's to go grocery shopping this weekend. That's just half double crochets. And we don't usually take Juju with us because she hates grocery shopping, but we were out running other errands. And I was like, why don't you come in? Because she was not feeling good. Her allergies I'm giving her what I'm positive is a sinus infection. She got a little bit of a fever from it. Her ears are bothering her. So I was like, why don't you come in and pick out some soup, because she's very picky with her soups. And we'll pick out some lunches since it's summer vacation now. You know, you kids can help me grocery shop. And it was all four of us, so it was Mr. Cinnamon too. And we're standing at the back of the aisle, and Juju goes, Mom, Faygo. Faygo is a Detroit soda brand, which is impossible to find outside of like the very close to Michigan area. So the states that pretty much touch Michigan. And I was so excited to see Faygo. I mean, it wasn't any of my favorite good flavors, but I was so excited to see. I was like, yep, I am buying myself some Faygo from Aldi. So if you see Faygo at Aldi, that Faygo twist is, it kind of tastes like Squirt to me. It's more lime than lemon. So it's like lemon lime, but it's more like lime lemon. And it's just got a really good flavor. A little man thinks it tastes like Sierra Mist, but I think it tastes more like Squirt. I just think it's good. And I'm like, hey, if they're carrying, because because they had the cola, which I'm not a fan of Faygo cola. But they had the cola, the twist, and another one. I was like, if I buy what they have, maybe they'll carry more flavors here, because Faygo has a ton of flavors. My favorite, cotton candy. Cotton candy soda, delicious. They also have blue raspberry, which tastes like those little hug drinks that were in the barrel. Now, I don't know if they have hugs anywhere other than America, but they're in this plastic barrel. They look like a barrel, and they were plastic, and they had a foil seal over the top. And the blue raspberry was my favorite. And Faygo carries a soda called Blue Raspberry that tastes like carbonated blue hugs. It's so delicious. I was very excited. I was like, now if we can just get some better made potato chips out here. Although, I don't need any because I just don't need any. When I was in Michigan, when we did the shopping video with Baby Paprika, I brought a couple of bags home, and they lasted me about a month, which is surprising because that's the first time chips have ever lasted that long in this house. And also, I know you guys don't probably care about this, but Better Made potato chips, their website, they started carrying the big boxes that they have on Amazon and doing $5 flat rate shipping. So with the cost of that, buying it direct from the store, from Better Made, was cheaper than Amazon. So I was like, oh yes, thank you. So I bought a 50 bag box, and little man was taking those for his lunches every day. And of course, Juju and I were snacking on the bags too, but they lasted a good long while. So I may have to do that again just for the summer months so that they have, and they're the tiny little, what we used to call the quarter bags, because they were a quarter when I was little. So they're the small little bags, but that's really good for snacks when, you know, the kids are home. When they get out of the pool, they can go grab a bag of chips. So I might have to order another box of that. I'm really enjoying using this hook. It's been easily over a year since I've used this hook, and I am enjoying it. Now this hook, I will say this, with some yarns, it has a little bit of a drag on it, but because this cotton is kind of smooth, and I don't know if you guys can see, there's a little shiny effect to this yarn. The combination of the two just goes. It just goes. I get to the end of the row, I'm going to show you what this should look like. Put our last half double crochet in, slip stitch to join that row. This is what it should look like. It's just a band, okay? It's just a circle. Looks like that. It should be able to lay flat because there's just a little bit of an increase, but this is going to fold over and this is going to hang on your shoulders like this. So it doesn't need to be too rounded, but if you're going to make this an extra thick strap, I would put in a few increases. So maybe every 10 stitches, put 2 half double crochets in the same stitch, and then 10 more stitches, do the same thing, 2 half double crochets in one stitch. And that's if you're going to make a really thick strap. So if you're going to make like a way thicker strap, just add a couple of increases in there, and this will help it to round off a little more. And I might do that for this next row just to show you. It's not a necessary thing. I didn't do that at all with my shirt, but it's not going to hurt your shirt to do it either way. So let me check the size versus the straps. So yeah, see, it looks like we only need one more row and it will be the same width as my shirt. So I'll show you that as our last increase row, and then we'll move on. So chain 2, because that's our half double crochet. We're going to half double crochet in the same stitch. And we're going to go 10 stitches, half double crochets. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then in the next one, we'll put 2 half double crochets in the same stitch. And that will give us just a little bit of an increase, and that will help this want to curve a little more. And this will definitely come in handy if you're making a wider strap, because I did have quite a few commenters say that they wanted to have thicker straps, or they wanted to cover their arms because they're self-conscious about your arms. I'm going to say this to you if you're listening to me, okay? It is okay to have fat and flabby arms. It is not okay to not like your body and to try to hide, okay? Nobody's going to look at your arms and go, oh, gross. That's you. That's a mental thing. Just get over that and love yourself anyway. We all have flab under our arms. I don't care how skinny you are, how muscular you are. There is flesh on your body that's supposed to be there. It's okay. You don't have to hide. Let your arms be free. Let your body breathe. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And if even after I say all that, your arms still bother you, I'm sorry. This is probably not the pattern for you, because this is not meant to have sleeves, okay? But just love yourself. Just love yourself. You are worthy of love. My arms are something I struggled with for a long time, so I speak from experience with this. My arms are very loose underneath. There's a lot of bat wing action happening. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I used to think, oh, maybe I want to hide my arms. But I was always really hot, and like, sleeves are hot. And sometimes, honestly, like for a long time, my mom would put me in dresses that had sleeves in it to try to hide my arms. And that's where a lot of my insecurities came from. And then I started realizing, like, those dresses with the little cap sleeves made me look bigger. So it made me look fatter all the way around. So I didn't really like that. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going sleeveless, and I just don't care. And actually, when I got married to Mr. Cinnamon, I wore a strapless wedding dress because that's what he wanted. So, you know, just love yourself. 4. Life is hard enough. It's hard enough. And it's even harder when you don't love yourself. You don't accept yourself for whatever flaws you may have. Like, I have scars on my body. I have pretty severe scarring on my legs. I have stretch marks everywhere. But I don't hide my body anymore, and I used to. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this will be an increase. Life's too short to constantly try to, like, be embarrassed by yourself or hide or whatever. It's not worth it. It's not worth it at all. Just love yourself. You are worthy of love. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Is it just me, or is this yarn starting to turn more blue? Yeah, it's definitely turning blue. Now the stripes on this sugar whale cotton is way thicker than the other yarn I used. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So her shirt is definitely going to look different. And I won't know how much yarn this is going to take until I'm done. It's kind of looking like it's only going to take one sugar wheel because she wants a crop top. So I made a video last week, and I don't remember which video it was, but I mentioned my arm flab in one of the videos, and I don't remember what I said. It was something in passing. And then later on that evening, I watched The Fat Squirrel Speaks, I think is her channel name. She's delightful. I think her name was Mary Beth, but I could be wrong. She's delightful. She is funny. And she was actually talking about she said her old lady fat arms or something like that. And she started waving her arms, and her arm fat was like waving. And I just mentioned in the video that day, I was just laughing so hysterically at her. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There has been a couple of times where some of you have said, hey, have you seen The Fat Squirrel Speaks? And I'm like, yeah, I'm subscribed to her. And they compared the two of us because we both kind of have this, yeah, we're fat. We know that we're fat. Like, it's not a big deal. Like, love yourself, you know? And it was just so funny to me that she had done that on the same day that I was talking about it in my video. And I was like, I love this woman. Like, she's crazy. She's my kind of crazy. Now, as you may have noticed, I'm not really 100% counting. We're just adding increases about every 10 stitches. It's not a big deal. You just want some in there if you want to have it more like a wider strap. All right, now I'm going to show you what this looks like now. Come on, get in there. All right. So if you lay it like this, you can see it just gave like a slight little bow to it. If you continue doing that and make it like a much wider strap, let me measure this just so I can get an idea of what I'm talking about. So my strap is about 2 inches, but you can make this 4 inches. You can make it a 6-inch strap so that it covers more of your shoulder if that's what you want. Compare that to my strap for my shirt. Just about the same, 2 inches. So we're going to leave it at that because I think that will work for her perfectly. Now, at this next part, this is where we're going to start adding on the front of our shirt and the back of our shirt. So what you're going to need and what I'm going to need is to find my stitch markers, which I know are on this desk somewhere. Now, if you don't have stitch markers, you can use safety pins. You can use little pieces of yarn. You could tie it on there just so that you're marking. I'm going to need 4 stitch markers. And my knit and my crochet are mixed together. By the way, these stitch markers are made by my daughter, in case you didn't know. She made me all of these. See my little tin? But there's a lot of knit in there, so I need to go over to my flower pot. Did you see these yarn chicken ones she made? We're going to use one of those because they're funny and they make me laugh. All right, I got my 4 stitch markers. Put my little hamster back in his pot. I don't know why there's a hamster in the pot, but why the heck not, right? I got him from the Goodwill. Scissors there. You need 4 stitch markers for this. And the reason being is we are going to mark the front of our shirt so that we have a spot so we don't have to count every row. Okay? We're going to do the same for the front and the back, which is why we need 4. So we're going to put 2 on the front and 2 on the back. And this is where you are going to measure it on a body. So you can measure it on your body, or you can measure it on the person you're making it for. But since we're making this for Juju and she's not here, we're going to measure this on Brunhilde so that I can show you how to do this, and then I will actually measure it on her body. All right, guys, let's flip the camera around. So I totally forgot to say this. When you get to the point where your neck strap is as thick as you want it to be, we are going to we're going to cut and tie off. So I just threw my stitch marker on the floor. Just cut a piece off. We'll weave this end in later. Tie it off. Pick your stitch marker up off the floor. All right, now. And we remember this green, that's where we started. So that's going to be the inside of the neckline. Okay. Now what you want to do is we're going to place stitch markers in spots on the front so that what we're going to do is we're going to build it out this way. So you want it to reach a point at your collarbone so that your chi-chis are covered. So you want to cover all of the vital parts, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to take our stitch markers and we're going to mark. Actually, that should be in the back. Make sure it is even and it's equally in the back as it is in the front. And you want it to cover this part right here. So on your body, like to here. So if you take, here's my armpit, here's my collarbone. There's about 2 inches on either side. You just want to make sure that it is covering enough in the front so that when you increase, you're not showing anybody your business, okay? This is not an exact science, and this may take some adjusting, and I obviously am going to have to adjust this again based on my daughter's size, but I'm showing you on Brunhilde because this is how you're going to measure it on someone else. See where I stuck the stitch markers at? You want it covering this part so that when it comes out, it's covering your business. Now I'm going to show you what it looks like on me. Okay. In case you want to measure this on yourself. See how that fits over your head? You want it to easily fit over your head. Like that. Okay. Lay it flat. Let me tilt you guys down a little bit so you can see. You just want it about right here. So if you take your collarbone straight down here, okay? And we're going to do increases here, and we're going to do an increase down the middle to get that point. So you just take, and it doesn't, I will count these stitches and tell you, and then you're going to fold it in half so the stitch markers touch. Okay, let me tilt you back up. This is not complicated. I might be making it complicated. Fold it in half so the stitch markers touch each other, okay? And then fold it in half again, like this. And this back 2 straps, we're going to put stitch markers to line up with that. And that is how we measure the back part. We're going to do the back exactly as we did the front. And like I said, cue my daughter with the blender. Why she decides right now to turn the blender on, I have no idea. So your stitch markers should all line up like that, so that when you open it, front and back should line up. That is where we are going to do our front panel and our back panel. This is where it gets a little bit complicated, but it is going to be okay, I promise. I'm going to walk you through all of this. It's not difficult. It's just different steps. We're going to start the construction of the front of the shirt, and we're going to go down to a certain point, and then we're going to attach a different strand of yarn, and we're going to go down the back. All right, I will meet you back at the table. All right, so our stitch markers line up, top and bottom, front and back. So that tells us that the front and the back panels will be about the same size. This is all good. This is all good. We're on the right path. Let me need to slide the camera back just a little bit. Like I said, there's going to be lots of interruptions today. Children. She's decided right now is the time to make homemade tomato sauce for pasta. Right now. Cue the blender. We're going to add yarn again, so we're going to slip stitch. And because this is the starting point of our this is where we started and ended that very first row, and this is where we ended the very last row. This is going to be the back of our garment. So we're going to flip it over. We're going to work the front part, and we are going to attach the yarn at this stitch marker here. And this is going to be double crochets from this point on. I have to lift you guys up a little bit higher. You can see. Sorry about the movement. So we're going to just attach this with a slip stitch. Okay. And the stitch marker is not going to really much matter past this very first row, but I'm going to leave them on so that you guys can see. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to chain 1, 2, 3. In that very first stitch, we are going to put a double crochet. We're going to start and end every row with 2 double crochets. So you're going to start with a chain 3 and double crochet in that same stitch. This is going to be an increase. So every time you get to that stitch marker, there's going to be an increase. Okay. And then all the way across in every stitch, we're just going to put a double crochet. Except I just forgot a point. Hang on. I need another stitch marker. I need another stitch marker. I totally forgot. I forgot a step. All right. When you lay your stitch markers down like this, you're going to count the spaces in between the stitch markers. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. So in between the 30, we need to go to the 15th stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Put a stitch marker. So you're going to need 6 stitch markers because you're going to need to do the same for the back. You're going to need to count the 15 in. Make sure this is 30. Count the 15 in, or whatever your number is. Whatever your number is, because it's going to be different for different bodies. Make sure in the center of those, the dead center, you want to put a stitch marker because we're going to put another increase there. That's how we're going to get the point in the front of our shirt. Okay. We are going to double crochet all the way across until we hit that stitch marker. And this is where I definitely pick up the speed because I double crochet really quickly. So I'm going to try to control myself. It's hard to control myself. Double crochet until you get to the stitch marker. Now here's where the stitch marker is. So we are going to, at the center stitch marker, double crochet, chain 2, double crochet. That will be our increase in the middle. And then the next 14 stitches all the way to that next stitch marker, we're going to just put double crochets all the way across. Now from this point on, you can take the stitch markers off. It does not matter. You don't really need them. As a matter of fact, I'm going to take this center one off. I just put it there so that I didn't have to count. Because sometimes I will use stitch markers at the point where I need increase, just so that I don't have to count. I will even do this when I work in the round. I will put 6 stitch markers in the round, and I will just increase every time I get to that area where the stitch marker is. All right, and then we're going to get to the last, whoops, the last stitch, and that will be an increase. So we will put 2 double crochet in that last stitch. And then because it is now the beginning of the next row, we're going to chain, whoops, chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Turn your work. And now we're going to be working back and forth because this will be the front panel of the shirt. So we're just going to be working back and forth across this panel, increasing as we go. So you turn it, and in this very first where we chained the 3 out of, we're going to put a double crochet in that same stitch. That's our increase. We're going to double crochet all the way across until we get to the center where that peak is, and we're going to double crochet. Well, we're not going to double crochet. We're going to increase in that stitch. So there will be 3 increase points in every row of the front part of this top, and the back will be exactly the same. So you can do exactly the same on that back panel where those stitches are. But when we get to that point, I'm going to also show you how to make it flat panel so that you have options of whether you want it to be a flat back or a pointed back. Just double crochet all the way across. See, now we're getting to the point where the increase is. So we're going to double crochet in the top of every double crochet, including this one. And then in this chain 2 space, we are going to double crochet, chain 2, double crochet, and then right here, I'm going to double crochet in this stitch until we get to the end of the row, where we will increase again and put 2 double crochet in that ends the very last stitch of the row. You are going to repeat this for several rows. Of course, this is going to be another thing that you're going to have to measure, because the amount of rows you do will depend on how big your chest is and how big your arms are, because we're going to attach at these points to make the armhole. And we'll get to that. I'll show you that when we get to that. But this is going to take, the amount of rows you do will be different depending on the size of all of your body parts. The body parts of the person you're making this for. So we got that last chain 3 space. I'm going to put 2 double crochets in it. And because this is the first and the end of the row, we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Turn our work. You see how we're forming the front of that shirt now? In that same stitch that we chained out of, we're going to put a double crochet. This is an increase. We're just going to keep doing this back and forth. Double crochets, increase on the beginning and the end of every row and in the center. Apparently someone in the living room is having problems with the internet. We've been having so many problems with the internet going in and out. I think it's the router. It's quite frustrating. So we got our double crochets all the way up till we got to the point right here. A double crochet, chain 2, double crochet. And then continue on with our double crochets till we reach the end of the row. And we are going to do this front panel until we can put this on our necks and lay it on our neck, and these points will go out far enough that they will actually touch the center of your armpit. So we're just going to keep doing this until it's long enough. And you're going to have to try this on. Try it on and try it on and try it on. But the good thing about crochet versus knitting, because knitting is what I struggle with garments, because you can't just try it on, at least not a big body, because there's not cords big enough to fit over around my body if I were to make a shirt. So I think that's where gauge is important. So we got to the end of the row. We're going to put 2 double crochet in that last stitch. With crochet, the good thing is you can put a stitch marker in to hold your stitch, and you just try it on as many times as you need and make adjustments as you go. Chain 3, turn. This is what the construction of the shirt should look like at this point. I'm going to do the same thing we've done every other row. Chain 3, double crochet in the same stitch, double crochet across till we get to the center. How many rows does it take to get to the center of the Tootsie Roll Tootsie Pop? Yeah, that didn't make sense. And once again, since I'm not making this for myself, I'm going to have to call Juju in here again and again and again and keep measuring it on her body. However, she is used to this because when she was a little girl, I used to sew her dresses. I would sew them, and I would sew them without a pattern. So I would cut the pieces, and I would fit them around her little body and make adjustments as I went. So I think that's why I understand how the construction of garments work, because with the sewing, the way you make a garment is you have to take certain shapes and piece them together. And I think that's why I understand so easily garment making process, because I sewed garments first. So with the center, so we're doing the double crochet, chain 2, double crochet in the center, double crochet across. So from the time she was very, very little, I would do this with her. She knew if I was making her something to wear, it would be all right, come Juju, come try this on. And she would come and I would fit it on her. And then she'd go about her business. And then I'd call her back an hour later and do it again. Now, if you want to color control this top, you absolutely can. I am not going to, because I don't think Juju is going to care. But that's all. That's all going to depend on a few things. It's going to depend on where the striping happens in the garment. I may have to color control. Oh, and that means I'm going to have to take apart another cake. Trust me on this one. Pick a yarn that you don't have to color control. See, for this one, this wasn't even all the same colorway. There was like several colorways in here, because I don't care about that. But because this is going to be a rainbow top, and because the rainbow order is in a specific design, I might have to take apart another one so that I can get this green to do the back part of the garment, which I think is exactly what I'm going to do, but that's all right. So we're at the end of the row. We're going to increase again. Chain 3. So this is what it's going to look like. It's just going to keep increasing. It's going to keep getting wider in the ends And it's going to keep getting longer in the center. And this will be the front of the shirt. The back of the shirt is the same exact construction if you're going to have a pointed in the back. Now I'm going to pause and I'm going to work several more rows, and I will come back to show you how to measure this on a body so that it fits, and when to cut and start on the back of the garment. Okay, so we crocheted until we got about 14 rows here. Now, like I said, this is going to vary depending on the size of your chest, the size of your body, the size of the yarn, the size of the hook. This is going to vary greatly. I used a different hook size with mine, and mine is a drastically larger size than this, and I got the same amount of rows. So I did 14 rows from the increase to the point here. This point, these points here, when I put this on Juju's body, reaches the center of her armpit. And that is what you want. You want to crochet the increases until this peak on both sides wrap around the chest and reach the center of your armpit. And I'm going to flip the camera around. I'm going to show this to you on Brunhilde to give you an idea of what this should look like on the body, since we are fitting it to the body. And then I will show you what to do next. Now, I'm going to say this again. This is an extra small. Juju is not an extra small. But when you put it on, this is how it will look. You want these peaks to hit the center of your armpit. So right here. If I show you on my body, right here in the center. As a matter of fact, I can just show you my shirt so that you get an idea. So this is the increased row, and I got it to hit right here in the center of my armpit. And the reason it comes down so low is because I have a lot of extra arm fat. So you want this hole to be big enough to where this peak hits you in the center here, but it's also big enough for your arms to very easily fit through the holes. So the good point is crochet this till it's these points hit right here. Okay, that's all we're doing. We're just going to do that. And when it gets to that point to where it fits, you can cut and tie it off and then attach the yarn to the back of the thing. But because I'm color controlling this, I have to get another skein of yarn, pull it out until it's this color, because I want the front and the back to be the same color. But if you're not using a self-striping yarn, this part does not affect you whatsoever. If you're doing like I did on this one, doesn't really affect the, although I did some color controlling on this, and I'll show you. So where it started off here in the blues and then went to the grays, I did the same thing here as I did the blues and the grays, so that when I attach it here to work in the round, the colors kind of line up. And that is the whole point of doing the color control. If you're doing a solid color, you do not have to do that at all. But because this is going to be a rainbow stripe and I want it to go all the colors front and back to kind of blend together so that the rainbow colorway continues, then I'm going to do color control. But that's absolutely not necessary. And as a matter of fact, with this one, like I said, this colorway, totally different colorway than the two balls I used at the bottom here. And it looks beautiful and you can't really tell. So I will let you color control to your own, whatever your expectations of what you want this to look like. You want it to be color control, color control. If not, don't color control. So if you're not color controlling, you can cut here and attach this now to the back where your stitch marker is. But like I said, I'm color controlling. I'm gonna leave that attached. I just put a stitch marker here so it doesn't unravel. And I'm going to grab another colorway, and I'm going to pull it to where the color is going the right direction. Probably not, well, I don't know. See, this is what drives me a little bit crazy. This one started green, blue, goes into the purple. This one starts at the purple. So now I have to find the green somewhere here and work it out this way and then back to the center. Color controlling is not always fun, it's not always pretty, but that's what we're going to do because we're going to make it nice for Juju. Okay, so like I said just a second ago, I'm just going to cut, because I'm color controlling, I'm just going to leave that. I'm going to move that yarn out of the way. We're going to flip over to the back. And what I did with this skein is I just pulled the outside off to where it was that green color that we started with. So as a matter of fact, it doesn't seem, that seems like it's, yeah, maybe. That's that one. Pull it back a little more just so that we can have that darker shade of green so that it kind of lines up a little more. Just pull in and pull in, and I will ball this up later. There we go. All right. Grab our scissors. Cut it about there. So now we have our correct colorway. We're going to flip over and we're going to start working on the back. And that's why these stitch markers are here, to make our lives easier so we don't have to count anything. Except, I'm going to remember this time to count until we get to the middle. There should be about 30 stitches here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And then we'll count the rest to make sure. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. We'll just move one over. That should be about right. 30 stitches. Or whatever your front stitch count was for the front of the garment. Remember, yours doesn't have to be the same stitch count as mine. This is going to be about an extra large size shirt, so if you're a different size than extra large, these numbers are going to be different. We're going to do exactly like we did with that front panel. However, I'm going to show you a variation so that if you want the flat back like mine is, instead of the peak, the only difference you are going to do here, if you're going to do a flat back panel, do not increase here. You're still going to increase at the front and the back of every row for this first part of the pattern. If you want it to be a peak in the front and the back, you're going to do exactly like you did the front panel. Flat back, ignore the center, and just work back and forth, increasing on the beginning and the ends of your row. That is the only variation. It is a very simple variation. It is very easy to do. 1, 2, 3. Double crochet in that same stitch. And we're going to double crochet across. And the only difference is if you're going to do that flat panel, instead of a peak in the back, you are going to crochet more rows than if you were doing the peak before you connect it under the armpit, because the back of your shirt will be up slightly higher than the front. And I'm just crocheting over that tail just so that I don't have to weave it in so much later on. But the tutorial I'm showing you now is how to do the peak in the back and the front. So this can be exactly like we did the front panel. We're going to exactly mimic that because we know that this reaches the center of our armpit. It would make sense if you did 14 rows in the front and 14 rows in the back. It should connect perfectly in the center of your armpit. It's not very difficult. It might seem difficult. And then what's going to happen when we get to that point is we are going to just start working in the round. Once we do the 14 rows on the back here, or if you're doing the flat back, it will be slightly more than 14 rows. We will, and now we know where that center is now because we put our increase. You can take that center stitch marker out and get rid of it. But if you're doing the flat back, you're gonna have a few more rows, and the back of your shirt will be up higher than the front of your shirt, because you're not creating that peak. So it'll be more like a racer back shirt. And we're just doing double crochets. Now, since you already did that whole front row, you don't really need me to show you how to do the back. But just remember, you want, if you're doing the point in the front and the point in the back, you want it to be the same. You're just mimicking what you already did. So you're going to do the 3 increases in every row. The 2 ends and the center. Just keep on keeping on. And that's why I put that stitch marker there, because we like to play yarn chicken. That's my little yarn chicken. That's our increase, chain 3, turn it over. Same exact as we've already done. You guys got this. You don't need me. You don't need me. So I'm going to finish up these 14 rows because 14 is the front number. And then I will meet you back when I get to the end of the 14 rows. And I'm going to show you how to connect under the armpits and how to finish your garment. I'm having a super fun time with you guys. I hope you're enjoying this tutorial. I really, and I say this every tutorial, if you make this shirt, I want to see it. Now, if you're uncomfortable being in front of the camera, you can lay it on the bed and show me, or lay it on the couch, or hang it from a fence. But you guys, come on. I want to see you guys' beautiful smiling faces in your beautiful new tank top. I want to see you owning it. You do a little video where you're walking the runway and go, oonts, 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 oonts. If you don't know how to tag me, you don't know how to upload, that's okay. If you have an Instagram, you can use the @ and Cinnamon Stitches, and they will tell me that you tagged me. You can tag me as if I'm in the picture in Cinnamon Stitches. You can use a hashtag Cinnamon Stitches. I follow the hashtag, so I will see it. You can post it in the Facebook group. You can email it to me. I just like seeing what you guys are working on. And if by chance there are any podcasters that are watching this tutorial, I am challenging you to make this tank top right now. If you hear this, you have to make one. Tag your it. I want to see as many people as I can in as many sizes as I can in this shirt. So baby Paprika, I know you're watching. You need to make little girl or baby girl. You need to make baby girl a shirt. Show me what you're working with. All right, guys. I'll be back at the end of 14 rows. All right, so we are at the end of row 14 for the back side of our little shirt, our tank top. We are going to cut and tie off that back section. Now, what happened to me is something that is typical of something that happens to me when I'm crocheting. I actually ran out of the blue yarn because, if you remember, I took from the outside of the skein. So, luckily, it started off in the center where it ended on the outside, so I just reattached from the center pull of that same skein and was able to attach that, but that's why you will see a string there. Now, here comes the fun part, because this is where we're gonna take these stitch markers off. We do not need them any longer. We don't need any stitch markers from this point further. Now we are going to pick up that back section where we ended off the front of the shirt, and I'm going to put my hook in there and take that stitch marker off. Of course, if you want to keep the stitch marker attached as a progress keeper to see how far you've made it down from the shirt, you can go ahead and leave that one in. So I am going to put my hook in the hole. Let me zoom you guys out a little bit so you can see more of what is happening. What we are going to do now is we are going to attach the points from the front and the back. Okay, so we're going to attach here and over here. And we're going to just now work in the round, completely in the round. And the only increases you are going to do is at these peaks. That is all there is to it. So we're going to take the front and attach it to the back panel. Make sure you don't twist these. Make sure you have the right corners together. Let me get my yarn situated. And the way we're going to attach this side is with a slip stitch. We're going to take and slip stitch this corner to this corner. And we are going to chain 2. The reason I'm going to do a half double crochet row here is just for a little bit of extra stability at these points. You can do double crochets if you want. This is completely up to you. You're not going to see that this is a half double crochet row, but I did this with my shirt because I wanted a little bit more stability. I'm going to put a half double crochet in that stitch that we slip stitched to, and all the way across the front row, we're going to do half double crochets, just to give it a little bit of extra support in those stitches, because half double crochets can be a little bit more sturdy, a little bit more structurally sound than a half double crochet. So that's why I'm choosing to do this. But you can do double crochets in this row if you want, but it's entirely up to you. Half doubles all the way across until we get to the peak. And then we will increase, but we will use half double crochets in that peak. So it's going to be exactly like the other peaks, except instead of double crochet, chain 2, double crochet, it's going to be half double crochet, chain 2, half double crochet. It's getting a little stuffy in this room. I've had to have the door closed for hours now because of noise. And now not only are the kids and the dogs here, but Mr. Cinnamon is here as well. So I got backup out there for the kids if I need it. I'm really grateful for not just him, but also for Juju, because she doesn't ever question it. She backs me up when I need her to. She cooked little man some lunch. She threw frozen pizza in the oven for him. She's actually getting to be quite a good little cook now. She's always been interested in cooking, but she's always been kind of scared to like work the oven and stuff. And so last week, we have not been grocery shopping in weeks. We just been picking up little bits here and there because everything has been so busy that we haven't had time to do full-blown grocery shopping. And so it's been kind of like piecing together meals. And so she wanted pasta for lunch one day, so I showed her how to make homemade spaghetti sauce, and today, without me helping her or asking too much, she just went in there and made herself some pasta sauce by what I showed her from actual fresh tomatoes. I was really proud of her. She's like, Mom, this pasta sauce is so good. Well, yeah, because it's fresh ingredients. All right, so see, we're getting to the point where we're at the peak here, and I am going to crochet over this knot as best I can. So we're going to do double crochet or half double crochet in the peak, chain 2, half double crochet, and then continue on with the half double crochets all the way around until we reach the end of this panel. And then I'm going to show you how to attach this panel. And I am only going to show you this one singular round because it's going to be the same repeat every row after this. Well, it's not going to be half double crochets the rest of the shirt. It's going to be double crochets the rest of the shirt, but it's going to be the same that you've always been doing, except it's going to be in the round. And you make it to the length that you want. You can make it to the length that you run out of yarn. You can do like I'm doing and do a midriff or a halter top or a half Not a halter top. Now my brain is like not thinking of the word. A midriff. You know what a midriff is. Belly top. Top that shows your tummy tum. Where you can make it long to where it covers the body parts you don't like. For me, it's my lower stomach. Which I know makes no sense because I was telling you guys to embrace your arms and I'm hiding my lower stomach. I'm not a perfect person either, guys. I have faults and flaws just like everybody. Oops. Man, I am really, really liking this hook. Really, I might order a couple more. These are so pretty. And they're kind of glittery. This is totally not an advertisement for furls. If you don't like furls, I'm cool. Like, you don't have to, but it's like, I feel like I'm using a brand new hook because it's been so long since I've used this hook. Kind of excited about it. There's a couple other colors that I really, really want. But I've hesitated because this one's been in a drawer in a leather pouch, hiding, because I was afraid to break it. And can I tell you, I dropped this thing on the floor a little bit ago, and it didn't break, so that made me feel a little bit more confident about this hook. Now, unlike the other times we've reached the end of this row, we are not going to increase. We are going to just do a half double crochet, and I'm going to show you. We're going to join the 2 rows, and this is going to be an unusual stitch. And I don't know if this is an official stitch or this is just something I made up because I've never seen anyone else do it this way. So I'm going to pull you guys in so you can see what I'm doing. We're going to take these 2 points. So this is the back panel, this is the front panel. And I have not stitched into that last stitch of the row yet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put the half double crochet through here and through the top of this chain 3 here. You're going to pull through both of those to connect them like a slip stitch and then continue the half double crochet. Okay, and it gives it an extra good attachment here. And then you continue just doing half double crochets across. And that is my tail from the previous, from this side. So I'm just going to crochet over the top of it. You can come in and weave it in better later if it slips out, which sometimes I do have to do. I'm so glad it changed into the purple. I was getting tired of looking at blue and green for a minute there. You ever do that? You ever get like working on a project and you just get really tired of looking at the same color and the same stitch over and over again? I think that's why I work with variegated and striping yarn so much, because my brain gets really bored really easily. Alright, let me back out just a little bit. And we're just going to continue with these half double crochets. And then when you get to the end where we started this row, we're going to slip stitch to join. Which I'm nowhere near the end of the row yet. And then for every row, all the way down, you are going to chain 3, double crochet in every stitch. You're going to increase in those 2 peaks, the one in the front and the one in the back. You're going to slip stitch to join in the row and continue on and on and on and on until it's the perfect length that you want, till you run out of yarn, whatever. Half top, midriff, long skirt. You can make this into a dress if you wanted. A lot of people thought it was a dress from the camera angle that I was wearing it. Because I was using my ring light. And it looked longer than what it is, I think. Because I was using the ring light at an angle. I think this is going to be such a pretty shirt. I hope I get through all the colors for her. And it still be a half top. But because instead of going back and forth now, we're going in the round, the stripes will not be this thick. So The stripes will probably be half that thickness. And then gradually getting thinner because, and we got to the peak here. We're going to do the half double crochet, chain 2, half double crochet. Because the rows are still getting increases every row, the bottom of the shirt is actually going to grow a little bit each row. So the stripes will actually get thinner as you go down. So I'm just hoping that it'll still be a half top, which is what she wanted, and still get all the colors. Because we're on the purple now, and then there's pink, orange, and yellow still. So hopefully we're okay. I think we will be. How far this purple row goes will determine how much of the rainbow gets in her shirt. Before we get to the end of the row, I want to thank you all for watching. I've gotten a few comments that you guys are watching even though you have no intention of making the item that I'm making in the tutorial, just to listen to me talk, and I really appreciate that. I really appreciate you guys watching and listening. I appreciate all the love and support that you guys always give me, no matter what I'm talking about or doing in these videos. You guys have been an amazing community, and I'm very, very blessed. I'm very grateful to have you guys in my life. I just wanted to say that before this tutorial gets to the end, because, you know, I'm glad to spend time with you. There was something funny in, it was yesterday's video. I was talking about the colorways of the yarn I got at the Goodwill. So whatever the Goodwill store video was that I got recently, I said I couldn't remember the name of the Chinese architecture, the name of the colorway of the Karen Simply Soft, and I put the name of Pagoda on the screen, and there were so many people that were telling me in the comments that the name was Pagoda, and then it made me realize how many of you don't actually look at me when I'm on video. I laughed because I was like, they're crocheting and they're not even looking at me. So I could literally just, I could look terrible. I could have a mask on. You guys wouldn't even know because you're not looking at me. But I just thought that was so funny. I was like, I put it on the screen. You weren't looking. But that's okay. All right, we are almost to the end of the row. And the beginning of the start of the row will be now in your armpit. So this is a good thing because, and I'll show you in a minute. So we're going to put our last half double crochet in here. We're going to slip stitch to join here. And then this row and every other row is going to be a chain 3 and double crochet in every stitch around and increase in your increases. That's all there is to this pattern, you guys. So I'm going to show you what I meant. I'm going to put a stitch marker in here so I don't lose this while I'm moving it around. Okay. So when you have the beginning and the end of the row and you're starting, you will sometimes get like a fault line here. I'm not on camera, hang on. You'll get a fault line here. That is a visible line where you can see that's the end and the beginning of the row. And not everyone's going to notice it. It's not a big deal. But like, I cannot stand when that's going up, and because it always goes to the side. And that would be across the entire front of your shirt. That's why I'm doing it this way, because our start and our end will be in your armpit. So you're not going to see that beginning and the end of the row. You're just going to get a continuous front or back. This is what your shirt is going to continue to look like. Just beautiful, perfect, straight stitches. It would help if I lined it up correctly. Every once in a while, check to make sure your points are still lined up. If you fold this directly in half, make sure you're folding it at the armpit seam. Make sure these peaks kind of line up. So if they're not, you're adding stitches or taking away stitches somewhere in here, just correct that so your peak doesn't go off to the side. Because sometimes when you're working and if you decide to, if you mess up somewhere or you add a stitch or you take away a stitch, this peak will start to drift off to the side. Just be aware of that. Every once in a while, fold it in half. Make sure it's folded at the arm seams where we connected. Make sure that peak lines up. Make sure your dots down the center continue to be straight. And then just keep going and keep crocheting this until it is the length that you want, the length you desire, till you run out of yarn. Well, you know, just keep going. You guys got this. I want to see your finished projects. I want to see your finished products. You will see this rainbow top probably on the Instagram, definitely in a future video, because I'm going to actually upload this video before I finish this top. But I will post pictures of the one that I created for myself, and I will see you guys in the next one. But be on the lookout for this, because I will post pictures on my other social media. And thanks for joining me. Bye, guys.